Good evening, everyone. Tonight it is, what are we up to? A Monday night. Well, something different for now. The Monday, the 3rd of March, 2025. So episode 172 of So What's Been Happening. Time is pushing on, that's for sure. I've got a big deadline date, 22nd of March. And I feel like I've done no prep. How does that feel? How does that feel? Was that part of my New Year's resolution, you ask? Change a few things, get fit, look your best. You got to look at those photos for the rest of your life, walking your daughter down the aisle. Hasn't totally gone to plan, I must admit. A few little setbacks along the way. But the important part is I'm back out there moving again and feeling positive, mindset, all that sort of stuff. And I looked back on a few people I've connected with over time, and a young man by the name of Aaron Lapira from Body Revival has been one of those guys that sat, unfortunately, in the background for me. I haven't been brave enough to get in front of Aaron. He's a infectious guy. I've kind of contacted him from afar, and we've had chats along the way, but I've really got to make an effort. That's what it's coming down to. So this is one that's going to push me along a little bit. I wanted to touch on mental health, and this is one of those mental health chats we have once a month, and I thought it was really important to do this one now with Aaron on the back of where we get to in relation to setting goals, and all those goals you kind of set during New Year's resolutions that you break days later, if not hours. So people just don't do them anymore in a lot of instances, which is interesting. So I wouldn't say I actually didn't make any this year, other than I didn't write them down, and that's probably the key, because it didn't make me accountable. So that's kind of a key learning that I've had along the way. But what we're going to do is just reset it a little bit, your minds, give you a couple little tips and tricks to work through some thoughts, and just talk about losing confidence and trying to gain that back consistently, most importantly. So we're going to bring Aaron up for a chat, and we'll see if Lovey's might jump on at some stage as well. So with what I'm actually going to do is, before I bring him up, this is what sparked me and the interest, getting Aaron back in the social media, and hearing this video. Boy, did this click a few buttons. Here we go.
What if you don't start now? What if you start tomorrow? What if you just start next week, next month, next year? Think about that for a second. What will happen if you don't start now? You're probably feeling it now. You've probably neglected your health. Your back's probably sore now. Your joints are probably hurting. You've probably got no energy. You're probably starting to suffer a little bit in your mental health without even realizing just yet. But you keep doing that same shit for the next 12 months, and it's only going to get worse and worse, and you're going to slowly fall into this decline. I've seen it happen. I've seen it to my family. I've seen it to close friends. I've seen it on myself. But you've got to take a step forward. You've got to start flicking that switch. Start with a walk. Start with one fucking push-up. Help yourself build up that momentum. Build that momentum for you. Build that momentum for your future self. Build that momentum for your kids, for your family, for your friends. Because once you start building that momentum, your energy is going to increase. You're going to get clearer mental health. You're going to be more efficient. You're going to be stronger. You're going to be doing more shit that you never ever done before, because your life is elevated. You're feeling good and you're excited. That's if you start now. Start with one and keep going. Got this.
What a message. Start with one and keep going. Here he is. Let's bring him up. Mr. Aaron Lapira, everyone. Welcome back, mate.
How are you, mate? It was awesome. Always gives me goosebumps, that message. I think I was just in my zone, and I was really feeling that as much as you were, mate.
There's no doubt your passion for fitness and life, which is infectious, and that's the great part about you, Aaron. Mate, let's flash back a little bit. It was episode 16, 4 years ago. We had a chat in amongst COVID. Life was very different then. God, a lot's happened in everyone's life since then, but it's fantastic to have you back tonight, mate.
Thank you, mate. Looking forward to having a chat. It's good to connect again. hopefully this is not just the start, and then we keep some momentum going after tonight's chat. As
correct. Let's call this the start of the journey. Okay, start of the focus.
Yeah, exactly. The first step.
So, mate, first and foremost, thanks for joining me again and getting in amongst social media again. You've had a little quiet patch yourself on social media. You haven't been as visible as you normally have been.
Yes.
Mind you, in saying that, maybe you have, but the old algorithms are very different now on social media as they used to be. There's no such thing as free traction these days. So, how have you been? Most importantly, mate, I know you'd had a kid not that long ago when we last spoke. So that was 4 years ago. That time moves on. Tell us a little bit about where you're at in your life now. Give us a little reset.
Yeah, cool. So I've got 3 beautiful boys, 8, 7, and a surprise number. He's only 1, turning 2 this next month. So that was awesome. The first 2 boys were IVF, and this one was a complete surprise. So very blessed to have my 3 boys. So that's been good, but it has been a crazy 4 years, and you probably haven't seen me on social media that much because I just, like most people, just really haven't felt like coming out of my shell. Have focused on, just really staying afloat, to be honest. In terms of like my business and just adjusting to life after COVID. It was sort of pretty crazy time. So I guess that's where I'm at the moment, but feeling really good, like in a bit of a turning point in my life now, which direction to go. And I've got some new goals. I'm a different person now, and I've learned different things over the years. Like obviously I'm a dad of 3, I'm a husband, business owner, own multiple businesses. So I feel like I've got a lot to give the world now, and I want to be able to do that. So in the middle of sort of adjusting my life so I can now, help others. And, specifically, men over the age of 30 and guys and dads, which is what I'm super passionate about, because I sort of see a, constant pattern that's happening with a lot of guys. So I want to be there to help them and, make a positive impact. So that's where I'm at the moment.
Beautiful. Let's unpack that a little bit shortly. But 4 years ago, this man joined us on the show as well. A good friend of ours, Lovey. We're going to bring him up for a chat and just say a quick g'day before we get going. Welcome back.
Good evening, all. How are we?
How are you, mate?
Good. How are you going, Aaron?
Very, very good, mate. Very good.
Oh, sorry. I'm Aaron Lapira, and just you Cuzzy, Baldy. Give me a right.
Yeah, you're right. You missed the memo, mate. So
this is great.
3 big noobs.
Oh my God. Hey, it's think about the big names, Dwayne Johnson, Vin Diesel. We're up there. We're up there. So
we'll put our name with them. But nice to have you join us tonight, Lovey. Welcome back, mate. We haven't connected for a little while on a chat in amongst the podcasts, and this was a perfect one to welcome you back, mate. So
I think so. I think once the topic popped up, and particularly after a new year kicks through, and things haven't started off that well for you, I think that this is the sort of potty that people can maybe get an idea from, at least anyway, sort of set them back on track. So it's good.
All right, perfect. We'll bring you up in a sec. All right, Aaron, I'm going to start off where I probably should have been in starting off the year. The classic, finish the year off and make some promises to yourself and some New Year's resolutions that this year I didn't write down. That's where I started, and that's where it all went wrong, in my opinion, because it's actually the first year that I haven't written them down and actually had something accountable to look back on. So what's your thoughts on just that journaling component first, where you actually make it visible? How important is that in the mental health journey and also the physical and mental journeys?
Yeah, look, I'm a massive advocate of journaling. Depends where I'm at. Like, I've got a lot of things in place to manage my mental health. Journaling is not on my like my number one thing that I do, but it is definitely there when I need to clear my head. I actually did some journaling the other day. So I think when it comes to journaling, it just gives you some clarity, and putting pen to paper really just, I think it changes the frequency a little bit of your thought patterns, and you can see and think about things a lot clearer. So I definitely highly recommend journaling. I think, for anyone, like yourself, who might be struggling a bit, is, set some time on a Saturday morning. I used to actually do it every Saturday morning, go grab a coffee at the coffee shop and just journal and just write things down. And it really sort of aligned and got a lot of emotions out and a lot of goals out. And like I said, keep you accountable if you ask yourself the same questions all the time.
Well, it's one thing you definitely probably noticed in men that they don't always speak, and they don't always talk enough and discuss. I think the positives and the negatives, to be perfectly honest. I don't think we celebrate the wins enough.
Yes.
And, I was very judgmental on myself that I just hadn't committed to that. And then consistency was one of my key kind of words, which was supposed to be rolling out for 2025. And I asked that of other people, but then I haven't delivered it on myself. So this was a chance for me really to January, obviously is fast paced for everyone. We get through to Feb. Feb flies by and we're hit March already. We're a quarter of the way in already. So just a very interesting observation. What's your thoughts on the fact of just being able to observe that now and then talk to yourself and talk to someone else and get amongst the group? And you can't do it without support. So doing it alone is a tough gig. And that's the beauty of the gym environment that you create.
Yeah. I think, like a lot of people come to the new year and they want to achieve some massive things, right? And they always start, and I always hear it. It's always like, oh, I want to train 5 days a week. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the same. I'm like, oh, I'll train 5 days a week. And it never happens. Like, life's hectic. You've got, especially if, you've got kids, you've got a business, you've got your family, you've got other responsibilities. Life's not the easygoing pace that it may have been, 40 years ago. We're living in a different world now where everything's fast paced and you've got to keep up to scratch with things. So I think starting with really basic habits is the key. If it's, moving your body, it could be as simple as, I want to start off my morning with a 10-minute walk, and just stay consistent with that really simple basic habit that you can build on a weekly basis. And then once you sort of get that right, tick it off the list and then work on something else. What I used to do, or what I actually still do, is I call it like a weekly nourishment, where I actually plan out my times. I do things daily and I hit those habits every single day. For example, so get up in the morning, I go to the gym. I'll every 11 a.m. every day, I'll meditate for 20 minutes. Before bed, I'll stretch for 20 minutes. At 5:45, I'll go for an hour walk. So no matter how hectic my life is, I've got these habits, positive habits that I have in place that I implement on a weekly basis and a daily basis to always uplift me. So my baseline's not going from here to here. It's always, if it's stressed or anything like that, I never sort of fall below, and I'm always feeling good because I've got these really positive habits in place. And it's been a difficult 4 years. I reckon it's probably been the most difficult 4 years of my life. But in terms of my training, I've been the most consistent that I've ever been, with 3 kids. And prior to having kids, I'm the most consistent. So it's just setting those habits in place and starting off, like I said in that video, just start with 1 push-up, get up in the morning, do 1 push-up. Then next week, do 2, 3, then, eventually come and work out.
Yeah, so basic learning from that is real mindset shift to actually make some of those things, I suppose, non-negotiables in some respect. If I'm all for one in a business life to plan meetings and book time for other people, but not block time out for myself. And that's probably a key takeaway there.
And it's funny, just quickly said, we don't celebrate the wins. And I was talking to a mate the other day, and our mind doesn't understand a big win from a little win. So getting up in the morning and doing, 5 push-ups is a win. But our mind doesn't understand, okay, that could be just a little win in perspective, but it's actually a win still. So if we can start the morning or start today with some sort of win, it's going to hopefully set us up to succeed throughout the week and the rest of the day.
Yep. All right, lovely.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It's fascinating you talk about, I think it's the habits you talk about, introducing the new habits or different habits, if you like. And I don't know if it's a fact that, and I'm in this boat, I don't know if people, men in particular, just completely didn't really respect the value of doing that sort of thing, like the change up. Like, I know we all get into it, whether it's good or bad. We just have these lulls, and we just kind of accept it over a number of years, number of months, whatever. And I myself have gone through a few things in the last few months, and kind of said to myself, I've got to change. I've got to change some things. So, a bit like what you did. It's not meditation, but it's like deep breathing. 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night. Clearing the head. Trying to get to the gym a bit more. I lost a lot of weight, which was great just before Christmas, but, I've put it back on again. So I've got to get back on the horse. So, my question for you would be, how do you talked about consistency. So for a guy who's trying to change himself up, how do you actually, how do you introduce the number of changes you want to make? And I guess, how do you make that consistent? So we want to do it. So how do you do it?
Yeah, great question. So first of all, I would just say start really simple. Start with like the most achievable thing you can do. So if it is, like I said, a 5-minute walk when you get out of bed, start with that, right? You don't need to do anything else. In terms of staying consistent, right, there's going to be times where you're motivated, but most of the times you're not motivated, right? So it's simple, fuck your emotions. You've just got to get up and you've got to do it. Like there's times where you're feeling tired. There's times where you're feeling stressed. There's times where you're feeling exhausted. Shit's gone down at work or life's just gone hectic. But that's just going to happen. That's just life being life. So you've got to understand that you fuck your emotions, you stick to it, set a goal. Like if you said you're going to wake up every morning and do your 5-minute walk, you get up and do your 5-minute walk, no matter how shit you feel, because then that's going to elevate your mood. That's going to improve you. I guarantee there's been times where you've been to the gym, right? And you couldn't be bothered going, but you went anyway. How did you feel after you went, Alan?
On the worst times, cleaner, like just at least cleaner in the head. And I'd gotten rid of, like you kind of, whether it was mental or physical junk, you just got rid of it. You felt like you got rid of it. And I think that, I think too many of us underestimate the value of that. And I reckon if you did that twice a week, even just as literally a cleansing exercise, then it'll be great because we all get stressed under work and all the rest of it. So, that's kind of the thing I've been looking to pick back up again since the new year. And it wasn't a resolution. I just wanted to do it. And I think that, I think the less, here's the other thing. I think the lesser expectations you put on what you're trying to achieve and just let it happen, it'll probably just work.
Yeah.
Because I always used to get turned off on setting goals on my goals. And it was like, well, hold on a sec. Just let it happen. Let just cruise through. And like you say, if it was only 10 minutes instead of half an hour, at least you did something.
Correct. And the way you live and your life, the way you look, the way you feel is all based around your daily habits. Like, a lot of problems can be solved by eating the right food, moving your body, and just taking, a little bit of time for yourself throughout the day. If it's 5 or 10 minutes just to chill out. So there you're looking after your mental health, your physical health, and what have you're consuming as well. So a lot of problems can be fixed and sorted by implementing those 3 things. So if you can just start real basic and not overdoing it or overcomplicate or over, setting such huge targets, you can always build on from the small goals. So, it's like, the last couple of weeks I was actually quite sick, really sick. I haven't been sick for like 7 years, and it threw me off completely. I came back to the gym and I was like, I hadn't trained for 2 weeks. I lost 4 kilos in like 4 days, hadn't eaten, just completely out of it. And I wanted to get back into my routine again. So I got back into the gym last week, and I wasn't going to do my 5 days a week like I usually do. I just started with, going into the gym and just doing 2 sets. And that was more than enough. And then this week I've started again. Now I'm doing 3 sets, was my 3 sets today. And then next week I'll get back into it. So it's just like setting those small targets rather than going 0 to 100, because it's too difficult. It's too overwhelming. And you're probably going to do it for, a couple of weeks before it gets all too hard and life gets too busy again. As I can't hear, I think you're on mute.
Sorry, Az. Thanks for calling that quick. Rookie error. Just a mate of ours put up a comment that's definitely making the first steps is the hardest. Got back to the gym, or was going to the gym 5 or 7 out of nights. Then his mum passed away and lost the mojo. Hard to get back into it once you stop. It is hard, but I think the expectation of picking it up where you left it is probably too big a challenge. You're right. Just starting those little bits and building back up to those 5 to 7 nights, that one walk, that 5 minutes, that 10 minutes, and turning that into a larger whole routine is probably one of the keys.
And it's, like, for example, the gentleman who put that up, I see this a lot of the time at the gyms, and this is where people fail, right? It's because they go and they'll train and they'll stay consistent for, he may have been doing it for, I'm not too sure, like if it's 12 months or if it's a few months, he was really consistent with that routine. And then life just gives you a big slap across the face and gives you a kick in the nuts. And then it's like, oh shit, it all gets too hard. Obviously, losing your mum and that's huge. But it's just an obstacle that we've, things that we need to deal with life. So if you bounce back and get back into training, the next obstacle that comes into place isn't going to feel so difficult, especially after achieving such a big obstacle like that. We get a lot of people at the gym who will just stop training because they've simply changed jobs, or, their shifts changed at work. It's just a small obstacle, but because they haven't built up that resilience to then overcome and bounce back, and they don't have those habits in place, it becomes too difficult. So if you can then manage and be like, all right, well, what this is just an obstacle, and just push yourself to get back on the wagon again, and build up those solid habits, next time something happens, it's not going to be as difficult, or won't be that difficult, because you've already gone through it before. So it's just, like I said, building up those habits, understanding this is just an obstacle, and not letting your emotions take over. And then eventually, getting back into that routine, because, dealing with such a loss, the gym's only going to benefit you, because you're going to feel clearer in your head, and you'll do something to uplift yourself as well.
I'm really keen to unpack the idea of the mental component, right? The mental challenge versus the physical challenge. Your body will let you do the things, and it's only your mental state normally that will help stop that and overcome that. So, what are a couple of little just key pointers that we can use to just start to push yourself forward, make that time, lock in that time, find the importance of that time, and then start to push us forward on that?
Yeah. So like I said, it's just implementing that routine, and committing and being disciplined enough to commit to it. It is going to take some sort of effort. It's not just going to become easy. It's just not going to be, you've got to be aware of what the goal is. So setting a very small goal, like, getting up in the morning and going for a 10-minute walk, and just saying, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with that, and I'm going to stay consistent with that every single day, no matter if it's raining, if it's wet, if I'm tired, if I'm not feeling the greatest. You get up and you do it. It's just setting a really small target to begin with, and staying so consistent, and every time you overcome or you complete that task, you're going to feel good because mentally you're going to feel like you've won, and then your endorphin's going to kick in. You're going to get a little extra boost, bit of confidence, and then you can build up on that again. And then your baseline really isn't, it starts to elevate. It's like progressive overload. You then, once you sort of complete your 10-minute walk, then you might be like, okay, I'm going to go do a half-hour gym session twice a week. And you set those times in and do that. And then you commit to that and you tick those off the list. And all of a sudden you've got your walk, then you commit to your 2 sessions a week and you're feeling even better. So, and then shit might go crazy. And then rather than, missing the walks and the gym sessions, you might just miss the gym sessions. And then, but your baseline's now the walk. So you got that walk and then you sort of, keep building up from there. So just start off really, really small.
Yeah, just before we go to you, Lovey, I was just about to say that all seems fine while it's all working and there's a routine and it's all happening. And then you're right. Shit gets in the way. Life gets busy. You get an injury. You got to go to a meeting in the morning and your schedule gets changed. Getting that consistency or getting back on the bike, not being probably too hard on yourself to just go, mate, you didn't commit this week. All right. Another day we get a chance, the sun comes up again, we're lucky enough to get another chance. Just probably not be too hard on yourself, eh?
Yeah, look, I think you can't be missing more than 2 days, you know what I mean? Like, especially with something simple, 2 days, you've got to have that discipline. You've got to really push yourself to be like, no, I've missed the first day, missed the second. I can't be missing the third. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to get that third day. You got to make that commitment to yourself. And at the end, they had that you got to have that self-respect and that self-discipline that to make a change, you need to put in the effort. Nothing's going to be completed for you. Nothing's going to be done for you. No one's going to come and save you. You need to put in the work, and that really separates the people. So, but like I said, just simplicity is the key. It could be even something even more simple, like just get outside and get some fresh air. For some people, it's difficult to walk out of the house. So, just getting outside and getting some fresh air. So wherever you're at in terms of, your level, start with the most basic and most easiest thing to tick off the list.
Yeah, it's really amazing, Aaron, that, and I put my hand up for this. We kind of feel like we can just physically do all the stuff and forget about our mental state sometimes. And then you just get into that. The one thing I always used to do is just get into a rut of doing the same thing without even knowing it's not the right thing. And whether that was relationships, whether it was your own body or whether it was sport or whatever the case may be, too often you just probably don't know if it was ignorance, but you just didn't pay enough attention or respect to the mental side of what you're talking about with your body. And people often confuse that with some sort of psychological thing. But for me, my mental state has to be at the same level as my physical state. So if I'm going to go and do something, I'm going to make sure that mentally I'm prepared for it and I've got to be right to go. But then that's why I kind of fell in the holes. If I mentally didn't feel right, intuitively I just didn't do it. Or I went and did the wrong thing instead, and I guess it's trying to help blokes like ourselves to just respect the mentality aspect of your body, not from a psychological perspective so much, but just really being proactive about your thinking and the way that you're going to go about your day or your month or whatever it is you're going to do. I think it's not analysing how good you are psychologically. It's literally, I feel like it's trying to be more proactive with it.
Yeah, and I think
positive stuff.
What's that? Sorry.
Oh, just the positive, being more positive about it rather than going, it's a chore, but I'm going to do it. It's like trying to get that increased positivity about what you want to do, even though it might be tough.
Yeah, and I think, if you just aim just to win the day and just go like, today I'm just going to win the day. You know what I mean? Like one foot in front of the other. Let me just win today. And do something that, might be a little bit uncomfortable, might be out of your current habit scheme. But just going out there and doing, doing your breath work or, doing the going to bed at the same time every single night rather than sitting there and flicking on your phone, or just aiming to win the day and winning that habit, because a win's a win at the end of the day. And then the next day you do it again, and the next day you do it again, and all of a sudden it's going to feel weird that you didn't do that habit that was once difficult. Like for me, going to the gym used to be difficult, right? It was a chore. Now I go to the gym and it's like the best part of my day is I'm moving my body, I'm listening to music, I'm like, feeling good. My arms are feeling good, my body's feeling good. That's no longer a chore for me. I look forward to that. What used to be a chore, but because I've built up that habit, I've felt the benefits of it. It's for me, it's like, fuck, this is my time. I've got an hour where I get to train, move my body, listen to some music, and just have time where no one interrupts me. So, those habits that you do, they do feel good, but you've got to stay consistent with them to really feel those long-term benefits, because what happens is going to be a time where you just stop. Once you stay consistent, you're like, oh man, I feel shit. I'm going to go back to the gym.
There's a lot of that. And it was funny because I crashed through last year. So in August, I'm happy to say it, in August I weighed 120 keg. Yeah. And that's pretty big for a 6 foot tall guy. And I said, well, I'm going on a couple of holidays, a couple of 1 week holidays overseas in late November, early December, and really wanted to make sure I felt pretty good about it. And admittedly, I want to look a lot better than 120. So crashing through to about 104 by the time we took off in late November, I was really wrapped. But what I found by the time I got to Christmas, New Year, and I didn't blame that on Christmas and New Year, but I kind of got a bit jaded with the whole trying to lose so much weight at one time, to the point where I actually stopped doing my things, and I didn't have that consistency. And I've struggled with consistency, particularly with gym stuff and athletics in general. So I think, to be able to hear that the consistency is probably the number one key. It's good. It probably reinforces to me what I'm thinking. So, I probably just need to go out and just do like don't eat more than 1,000 calories every day, rather than trying to crash back down to 500 or whatever the fucking hell it is.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like people tend to go 0 to 100 really, really quick, and as quick as you'll achieve it, you'll lose it, just as quick. So it's just, like I said, finding that simplicity, finding that consistency, and starting simple, and then building up from there. So for you, if it's like, oh, you know what, I want to get back into the gym, and set 2 mornings a week where you get up and you really commit to those times. The first time you do it, it's going to be difficult. The second time, it's probably still going to be difficult, but by the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, it's just going to become routine and habit. It's like if I go to the gym and after being sick and go back and lift heavy weights again, I'm going to break my body. Like my knee's going to hurt, my muscles are going to be sore. It's going to be too much. But if I can go back and sort of ease myself into it and then build up from there, it's going to be a lot more of a more positive journey and something that I want to continue doing.
Yeah. So, and I think that's the same for a lot of. Sorry, cuz Aaron, I've got to head off fairly soon. But
you're right, no problem.
Just to touch on that, I think, Aaron, it'd be really good. I presume that your work probably touches on all walks of life, and that comes to that consistency thing, because it's the one thing I've noticed, not just myself, but my inner circle. A lot of people, they get into it and then they just they go up and down. And I think that's where everyone sort of gets turned off after about the fourth time they've gone up and down, and they just don't go back to it. So I presume it can happen with all sorts of different activities, and to get your body and mind right. It's nice to know that I was thinking the right way, so I'll be going to do it.
But yeah, like I said, it's just building up that baseline, and then like there's stuff that I want to implement again, but I'm like, I've just lost it. Like I used to do every morning, I used to go for a dip. I did it for 12 months. Get up in the morning, go straight to the ocean, go for a dip. It was fucking difficult because it was freezing, you know? And I lost that, but I felt so good doing that. And I always, I need to get back into doing that. And I haven't yet because I just haven't built up that courage to do it back again. So, but again, like that was a different baseline. My baseline's still really good, but that's just another thing I can add to continue to elevate myself again.
We touched on consistency, and thanks for that, Lovey, because those ebbs and flows are exactly just what I wanted to touch on. The yo-yo mentality, they kind of call it. Now, we all know that in all other parts of our life, but we seem to make this excuse in health and fitness and mental health that it's somewhat okay for it to be like that. You know, some of that kind of doesn't really, it's not the long-term game, right? I think we make excuses for our physical part of our life to get the second. You know, it's the first one that I think in a mindset is the first one that can just be pushed aside. I'll do that tomorrow. I'll make up a session, right? Now we don't get to do that, right? There's no makeup sessions. There's just starting again. How do we start to avoid those kind of yo-yos? Like Lovey and I will talk about, the ability to fluctuate 20 to 30 kilos over a couple of years in a couple, especially in men above 30. You know, how do we? Obviously, it's a whole package. I get it, but you know, is there a little starting point really for consistency, or a whole list of blocks that have got to make the cake effectively?
No, not like this is the thing. Everyone overthinks things or overcomplicates, exercise and nutrition and training. Do I take this supplement? Do I take that supplement? Do I eat at this time? Do I sleep at this time? Do I, exercise at this time? Like, it's so overcomplicated. And I think the reason why it is so overcomplicated, there's so much information getting thrown our way that we just get confused of what to do, especially the health and fitness industry. Like, there's all these sorts of diets, all these sort of training regimes, and it's what's the in thing at the moment. What's at the moment, it's the carnivore diet. Cut before was like the low carb diet, then it was a shake diet, and it was a fucking, gluten-free diet. There's like, so it's like, what? It's just so people really overcomplicate things. And the answer is you don't need to overcomplicate it. Like, simple is best. So when I'm saying, for you it's like, all right, you haven't trained or you haven't done this, like, start off with something that you can really commit to. And then, like I've been saying this whole podcast, and build up from there. Like, keep it really simple. You don't need to overcomplicate. You don't need to overdo things. And that's where people will quickly fall off the bandwagon. I was having a conversation, and I do it myself, you know what I mean? Like, I'll be like, I want to train, 5 weight sessions a week. And then as much as I want to, like, I've got to remember, I've got a few kids and run a few businesses. So as much as I would love to, there's some days where I actually can't get to the gym. So my baseline for my training is 4, but I always program bloody 5 days, and I never get my 5. I always hit my 4, consistently get my 4. Never, and if I do get my 5, it's like 1 out of the 4 weeks. So it's just understanding that, keeping it simple is the best way, and really handing on to those basic habits or basic, basic habits or basic tasks that you can fit in your schedule every single week and every single day. So it's like brushing your teeth at night. It's, for most people, it's not that difficult because we've been doing it since we're kids. If we don't brush our teeth, we feel really weird when we don't do that. So it's just like building up these other habits to implement that. But it's like, don't overcomplicate things. Just really simple. Just go for a walk. Start with 1 push-up.
Yep. There it is. The key takeaway for tonight, the old classic push-up challenge. Start with 1.
That's it.
And I think it's not just push-ups, mate. I think it's my key takeaway for tonight is actually start and start consistent, front up, front up again, and it will get easier. It's not easy to start. That's the key.
Yeah.
But it's like anything in life. You can't be good at everything straight away. We were never good at riding bikes straight away. It took time, right? Now we just jump back on and we take up where you left off. It wasn't until I was in Bali a month or so ago and jumped on a bike. Hadn't been on a bike in 10 years, I reckon. I couldn't believe how average I was in first minute or so. And after that, you're back, and I think that's one of the key takeaways, that it just takes time, mate. It's not going to the gym expecting to lift heavy weights straight up. It's just getting and baking that cake early, and then just start adding the ingredients until it tastes good.
And it's like, just, I think a key point is look at your week and schedule it in like you would schedule a meeting. Like, really schedule that time in. I know, for 10 years of my life, my 20s, I suffered from anxiety, but I didn't realize I was, because I was overworking, overstimulated. I never took enough breaks. I was like, why do I always feel so exhausted on the weekends? And why do I always feel like so tight in my chest? Not knowing, because we're not taught, wasn't spoken about. We're not taught about anxiety. We're not taught about, how we're meant to feel or anything like that. You sort of work it out for yourself. And that's why I've been able to implement so many things, because I've been aware of how I feel and implemented things to help me. But the 5-minute meditation was a great thing for me, for my mental health. And then had my alarm go off 11 a.m. every day, and I'll literally stop, switch my phone off, lay down in my bed or lay down in my car and just close my eyes and meditate for 5 minutes. And then that's been a consistent habit, for like 6-7 years now. So just schedule it in and make sure you do it every single day, and like be disciplined enough just to stop. And if it's just 5 minutes, it's 5 minutes.
Yeah. Beautiful, mate. All right, let's finish on one key finish off. It's a big word, anxiety, but it's become the norm to talk about the word anxiety. And we're all got anxiety, blame it on anxiety a lot of the time. And just what's one little thing we can concentrate or unpack on, just how you've dealt with anxiety over time, and just one thing that you could just say, right, this is the first kind of starting point. Is it a change of scenery? Is it a change of mindset? What is it that, or is it an acknowledgement of that you're anxious at the time, and change that space? What was it for you?
I think I actually didn't know. I actually didn't know that I suffered from anxiety.
What did you think it was at the time? You were just overworked and exhausted?
For me, it was like, I'm a workhorse. So, I'd get up. This is what I used to do. You get up like 4:30, be at the gym by 5 a.m., leave by 7, start work at 7:30, work to the point of absolute exhaustion till like 2 o'clock, have an hour nap because I was completely fucking exhausted, get up and work till 8, go home at 8:30, wash my son, and repeat. Like, I did that. That's what I did. And I just thought working harder was the best way. And then I had a mini breakdown. Actually, I had like this mental breakdown. I was like crying. I was, like a simple task. I was like, I don't even have time to do a simple task. That's what I had to really shift what I was doing. But I shouldn't have had to get to that point to make a change. But sometimes you're just gonna, you're gonna be aware, and you've got to have strategy in place prior to getting to that point. But for me, that's all I knew. No one told me, and I was getting results. So I felt like I was progressing, but really mentally I wasn't. So that's when I was like, okay, well, what can I do to manage? This is not normal, sleeping the weekends away and like being absolutely exhausted every day. So I was like, what can I do to manage this? And I think it was actually COVID, or no, probably just before COVID. I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll just take some time throughout the day, stop for a couple of minutes, 15 minutes twice a day, and just calm my mind. And I've been doing that ever since, and I'm always efficient. Like, I can lay down for 10 minutes, 20 minutes at 11 o'clock and just be completely clear-minded by 11:20 and be efficient, and do it again at 2, and then be clear-minded till, 5:30, and then I'll need another break and go for a walk. So just being aware and just setting things in place throughout the day that's going to just give you that little just that help and that nourishment.
Perfect, mate. We're going to leave it there, but I want to invite you back on again at some stage for us another chat, maybe smaller little snippets in your true little video method and way that we can hook up. We can have a quick chat. We can give a key point of the month or the week and put it out to a few people, and it'll resonate. That way we'll keep ourselves or both of us accountable to make some things happen between us.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good, mate. And I think last time we spoke, mate, I said you said that you'd hit me up, and we never did. So I might have to have might have to give you a buzz tomorrow, mate, and figure out something to help get you moving again.
Righto, that sounds good, mate. Get your people to talk to my people, mate. Let's make it happen.
Mate, I'll talk to you.
No worries. I look forward to that phone call, mate. And on behalf of our little team at So What's Been Happening, thanks for joining us, Aaron. The key takeaway from today is pick up the phone and call a mate you haven't had a chat to and just see what they're up to, because it could be one of those key moments that you just ask them how they are. Hasn't been 4 years since we've chatted over social media and things, but we definitely haven't picked up the phone and said g'day. So that's got to change and it will. But where you find Aaron is Body Revival. I will put up a key message on the website and some details, but bodyrevival.com.au, doing some great things between Aaron and Stacey and the crew at Body Revival. 3 kids. It's all been happening in the last few years for you, mate. It's fantastic to see you well, mate. Smiling as always, and having fun and getting everyone's life and fitness goals back on track.
Thank you, mate. I look forward to it. And if I can make a positive impact, even just a small one, mate, and doing my part.
Well, it all started tonight, mate. So thanks again.
Thanks, Az. Appreciate it, mate. We'll talk to you soon.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, matey. Bye-bye.
How good to have Aaron Lapira join us again from Body Revival. God, it's been way too long. But it's really good to have a chat that, our kind of thoughts and what we think behind the scenes of personal trainers and fitness and all these things, that start to think that they've all got it together. They're eating perfectly. They've got their life on track. And the reality is they're just human like us. So they can all start again. Lived experiences, I think most importantly, is what we can learn from Aaron and the crew at Body Revival, that they've been there too, and they'll help you with your goals and your journey. And no one is the same as someone else. So everyone else has got a little bit that they're dealing with. And so most importantly, a gym, those kind of environments are really positive energy that everyone needs. You might be having a shit day at work. Go to the gym, call a mate, go for a walk, do something different to break it up. So there's what I urge you. And most importantly, get out and see a band. That's our key feature for tonight. That will make you move. That's for sure. So get out there and enjoy the week. We've got a chat with Willie J coming up next week with the 6v6s and a release of some new music. So look forward to that chat next Tuesday. And then we're going to take a little break and reset for my daughter's wedding, which is really exciting. 22nd of March. It all goes down. So there you go. Look forward to having a chat soon. See you out there.